Hi, it's Amy Elkins with Strong as You Think. This is a great place for me to share with you a lot of the things I'm learning and hopefully will be as beneficial to you in your life as it has been in mine. So, today I want to talk about something I call the primitive brain versus the prefrontal cortex, right? Sounds a little heavy. Um, but basically, our primitive brain um, is kind of our habit brain, our survival brain. Um, it wants to keep us alive. It's, you know, evolutionarily, that's what kept us alive and helped us to act quickly. So, an example of when we use this is I remember about 10 years ago when we moved from our last house, which was about a mile away, to this house. I could be driving around town, and before I even knew it, I would have driven home to my old house instead of my house here, not have even thought about it. So our brain does this. That's kind of our primitive brain, our habit brain, without a lot of thinking. And it's great that we can do that. It's great that I didn't have to think about that drive home super consciously every time. It allowed my brain the freedom to think about other things that were going on in my life. So it can be a really great thing. But if you're not checking that, if you're not in awareness on that, then all of a sudden it takes you maybe where you didn't want to go. Like I didn't need to go to my old house anymore, but my brain took me there. So there are other things going on in our brain on autopilot like that we don't even realize. And it may be taking us places we don't want to go. And that's where the prefrontal cortex comes in. That's our thinking brain. That's the part of our brain that makes conscious decisions um, out of awareness. And so we just want to be aware that those two things are going on. Um, the funny thing is with our primitive brain, it's about efficiency too. So when we try to do something different than it's used to, it's often going to fight that. It's going to want to go back to what it knows is safe, what it knows has worked in the past. So what's interesting is so when we want to try something new in our lives, um, prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, thinks that's a great idea. I want to try that. I think this could be really good in my life. But we've got the primitive brain over here saying, uh, why are you doing that? We have this way of thinking, this way of being that's been working, right? So it's going to put things in our way to kind of sabotage or hijack that. Sometimes it's as simple as, I don't know how to do that. I haven't done that before. But it's useful when we're thinking about things going on in our lives, changes we want to make, decisions we want to make, that there's a part of our brain that's going to push back. Okay. In the church I belong to, we have a scripture that talks about how the quote, natural man is an enemy to God. And I was thinking about this in conjunction with the primitive brain. The primitive brain maybe is a little bit like the natural man. Sometimes we have an idea, we have something that sounds like a great idea, it feels good. We even may feel like God has told us to do something, and we're feeling good about it for a while as we're thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, we get this feeling like, I don't know, maybe it's not a good idea. That's kind of scary, right? And what I want to offer to you is that that doesn't always mean that God or his spirit, or, if you're not believing in God, the universe, whatever you choose to think of as the divine, that may not be that necessarily telling you it's a bad idea. It actually might be your primitive brain fighting back against something it doesn't understand yet, something it hasn't experienced, something that it sees as a threat, because you're doing something different than the proven or experienced way of doing things. And it's nervous about that. Okay. So I'm not saying that every time you have some doubts that that's what it comes from. But what I want to offer to you is that you go into it with awareness that that could be happening and take that into consideration. And knowing that most things that you want to do in life are going to involve some amount of discomfort, and that part of your brain, that what we want to just easily call the primitive part right now, is going to fight you on that. It doesn't want you to do that. So when discomfort is offered, I want you to think about that. I want you to feel it in your body and then see how it feels. Give yourself some time to be able to think about it from the prefrontal cortex too, from your thinking brain, and to know that you're making a decision out of awareness and not just going on autopilot. Okay. So that's just something I've been thinking a lot about. It's something that I've seen come up a lot in my life, and I've also seen it come up a lot in people I'm coaching. So I want you just to be aware of that. And if you want more help with that, if you want to talk to me about that, you can find me at Amy Elkins Coaching on Instagram, or Amy Elkins Coaching on Facebook, or amyelkinscoaching.com. And I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to answer questions. So that's it for this time of Strong as You Think, and we'll see you next time.